Good evening. Calling school committee, Quabbin Regional School Committee to order for Thursday, July 11th, 2024. First item of business is statement regarding recording. Yes.
Good evening. This meeting will be recorded and will be posted to YouTube and other social media platforms. By participating in this meeting, you understand that the recording could contain your video stream or your audio stream, including images of yourself or anyone in the room with you. If you choose to enable your video or audio device during the meeting, as well as anything or anyone else that may be in the background could be recorded. The recording could include any opinions you contribute and anything you say about yourself. On occasion, chat within the meeting could also be captured in the meeting recording. Therefore, anyone attending the recorded meeting may have aspects of their personal data recorded if they actively participate or not.
Thank you. Roll call for attendance, please.
Dr. Allen? Yeah, Mr. Marsh is not here. Mr. Deschamps?
Here.
Mr. Willannon?
Here.
Ms. Garvey?
Here.
Ms. Cartier?
Here.
Ms. Chamberlain?
Here.
Ms. Muck?
Here.
Mr. Alfonso?
Here.
Mr. Wiggler?
Here.
Mrs. Thompson?
Here.
Mr. Nutter?
Here.
And Mr. Brophy.
Here. Again, good evening, and we have a new member. Good evening, Joe Alfonso.
Thank you.
Quick question, welcome, and did you have an opportunity to get sworn in?
I was sworn in at 1:30 today.
You were sworn in 1:30 today. Congratulations, welcome, and thank you for stepping up and being a member of the Quabbin Regional School Committee. I know the representing of Hubbardston, but as the committee of 15, you work as a whole, and much appreciated that we're going to have a full complement of our 15 seats. So welcome, and hope to see you in person next month, if possible.
Thank you.
Any comments you'd like to make? Any opening statement? There's no pressure, no hurry or no nothing. It's just, I'm offering if you'd like to say anything.
Happy to be here and contribute.
Well said. First item is approval of minutes for June 13th. It's in your packet.
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay. Any further discussion? Any potential omission? Any potential deletion? Or any corrections? Seeing and hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Deschamps?
Yes.
Mr. Willannon?
Yes.
Ms. Garvey?
Abstain.
Ms. Cartier?
Abstain.
Mrs. Chamberlain?
Yes.
Ms. Muck?
Yes.
Mr. Alfonso?
Yes.
Mr. Wiggler? Mrs. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Nutter?
Yes.
And Chairman Brophy.
Yes. Next item is Student Advisory Council. Do we have anything?
Nope.
No, this evening. I know this is a July summer meeting. Administrative report, Superintendent of Schools.
So first, I just want to start tonight by introducing some of our new staff at the central office. So a couple of months back, you met Julia Franks, who's going to be our new business administrator. She's online tonight. But also with us, we have Jill Langlois. Jill is our new Director of Student Support. Some of you may recognize Jill because she's worked in the district with us for many, many years. And Jill brings to the table not just teaching experience, but she's also a BCBA. She left us last year and she went and she did some administrative work. And now we are super excited to have her here in this position because she knows our district. More importantly, she knows our kids and our teachers, and she's a strong advocate for special education. So we are thrilled to have Jill with us. And then Shelley St. George. So Shelley, right, has been a longtime principal at Hardwick Elementary School. She's going to take over K-12 teaching, learning, and support. It will be certainly a loss for Hardwick Elementary School. And Shelley, there's so many fun facts that when we interviewed Shelley, I still didn't even know about her, but Shelley actually has experience at the elementary, middle, high school, and college level. She currently teaches bilingual classes, and sometimes if we have a school committee meeting, she might be out in the front teaching her class in Spanish, and it is just amazing to listen to. But we're really excited because we know going down to one position is going to be very, very challenging, and we know everything Shelley brings to the table, and just having that breadth of experience will certainly help us in a challenging year. So I want to start by welcoming them.
Congratulations, both of you.
And we're going to talk about my end of year evaluation later on. We have our new hire orientation scheduled for August 15th. We invite all of our new employees, all categories, to come together that day. We do an overview of what Quabbin is all about. And then they go and they work with their mentors and at the building level. The interviews for Hardwick Elementary School principal are underway. We have 2 semifinalists that we'll be interviewing next week. And we have a lot of activity. So if you've been anywhere near our schools, they're very, very busy. So our ESY program is running. We have our Champions, which is our before and after school program that offers summer care. There are 3 of our buildings this year. They had so many students that they expanded. So they're in Hubbardston, Barry, and Hardwick. We're running a credit recovery. We've talked about this for the past few years up at our middle high school. And we offer our Acceleration Academies again in August. And Acceleration Academies, credit recovery, it's all free for families. And we had our first day of our administrative summit back in June, actually 2 days, one altogether with middle, high school, and elementary. We have 2 more scheduled for August. Some of the things that we're really focusing on this year is talking a lot about academic outcomes, our implementation of new curriculum, because we have a lot of things, and our new IEP implementation, which Jill will be, we'll be happy to have her at that summit so we can further plan for that. So Shelley's section is next.
So just to kind of reiterate a little bit of what Colleen had stated, credit recovery has started this week. That will run from July 6th till August 8th and serve students in grades 7 through 12. Our extended school year has also started. That will also run July 6th through August 8th. And that is taking place at Quabbin Middle High School and also Ruggles Lane School. And the short program will run through August 16th. In addition to that, we received a grant to support the professional development for investigating history in grades 5 through 7. And we've been accepted into a state-led professional development program for investigating history in grades 3 and 4. I also just saw this afternoon that we also received a STEM grant that will cover the cost of our Open Sci Ed curriculum. And it will also pay for the professional development that is required for that implementation and materials and supplies.
Great.
So that was great news. In addition, we have the International Baccalaureate report indicates that we need to reinvigorate our mission and vision around the IB program. And a welcome celebration was held for the 8 students who have signed up as full diploma candidates for next year. So we'll continue to work on that as well. And then finally, we're just really looking forward to our Acceleration Academies. That's something that we've run for a couple of years now in the summer, and that will take place at the middle school at Hardwick Elementary School. And that will serve rising students from grades K to 8.
Across the district. So
Yes.
even though our location is Hardwick, we invite students from all of our schools based on some data. I just want to chime into the IB. So what I was really surprised to learn was having 8 IB full diploma candidates is the largest number we've had. So that's really exciting. Yeah. Thanks, Shelley. So next is Director Kevin Clark's report. He has a lot, his team has a lot of projects going this summer, so let me start with that. And his team, each time I ask him every week how it's going, he's so thankful. He's got a team that is really hustling And he hires a lot of our students and our former students. And he just said the work ethic is just great and it's really fun to be a part of that. So we've been refinishing our middle school gym and our dance floors. And as soon as it's done, I'll let you know when you can go and see it. But the middle school gym does not even look like the same gym. So it had been, maybe done over, right? Layers and layers. It was a golden color. It is like white oak. It's amazing. It's beautiful. And we have a brand new panther head in the center of it. And all the lines for pickleball that the kids play during gym, plus basketball and everything else are all painted in there or taped in there or whatever they do exactly. So we're super excited about that. We are doing tile flooring down on what we call zero floor, which is Panther Gym to cafeteria. We've got several carpet replacement projects and then just lots of maintenance thing. And New Braintree is putting in a new boiler project over at New Braintree Grade School. Andrew is after that, so I think I'll just keep going if that's okay.
Yep.
But we've been trying to do an internet migration. Phone system upgrades. We completed the end of the year Chromebook collection. That went really well. And he has how many tech support tickets have been closed. We have been having a little bit of a challenge with changing over our service in that we had hoped to have it complete by the end of last month. They couldn't do that. And then it ended up, to extend it, it cost us some extra money. So we're hoping that that gets complete and we don't have to worry about that. But just so you have a heads up, Cheryl might talk about that at some point. So Cheryl, you are next.
One second. Too much technology from home. Hello, everyone. I wanted to start by giving you some statistics that you may have never heard before and how we are doing in FY24. In our cash for FY24, we brought in over $111.6 million and paid out during the fiscal year over $100.7 million. So there's a difference of only $70,000 there. And I leave you with this question, what does that say to you? What that says to me is that we are hustling to pay our bills on time. We get the money in, we pay our bills, and having $70,000 there is not a lot of difference. So we really hustle in our office. In the purchasing and payables department, the district processed 1,976 purchase orders this year, processed 5,664 invoices on 100 warrants. Mr. Deschamps can attribute to that. In our payroll office, the district has processed 83 warrants this fiscal year for a total payroll expense of just under $30.5 million. As you know, our district's audit firm, Powers & Sullivan, was bought out by Markham this past year. Although the business office will be working with the same auditors on site, we have been working with a select number of Markham personnel as well. The preliminary on-site audit was done last month. The audit team will be back for the week of August 12th. At this time, I would like to ask the committee to consider a request to be given access to the draft audit documents and working papers to review and comment on when they are available. I will be retiring the Monday after the audit on-site concludes. The reports will not be done until probably September for the October school committee meeting. And I'd also like to receive a set of the final audit documents. So I would ask Mr. Chairman that I get approval for that, if you would consider approval for that request.
Is there a motion as written? So moved. Is there a second? A second. Okay. Any further discussion? School committee members? Roll call for approval for this formal approval.
Mr. Deschamps,
Yes.
Mr. Willianen,
Yes.
Ms. Garvey,
Yes.
Ms. Cartier,
Yes.
Mrs. Chamberlain,
Yes.
Ms. Mock,
Yes.
Mr. Alfonso,
Yes.
Mr. Wiggler,
Yes.
Mrs. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Nutter,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. I want you to know my report is generally not this short, as you notice, but for the last 4 weeks, I've actually been working on payroll to make sure that everyone that works the full year were paid on time for July. Since our last meeting, here's a little bit of evidence of our work for the month. Biweekly payrolls for last year, 26, 26.1, and 27. For fiscal 25, warrant number 1. Our weekly payroll for fiscal 24, 51, 52, 53. And in FY 25, numbers 1 and 2. In accounts payable for last year, 88A, which was open on our last meeting, 92B, 93B, 94A, 95B, 96FQ, 97FR, 98FP, 99FU, and 100FO. For FY 25, we have already processed warrant number 1A, 2H, and 3A. That's all I have. Thank you.
Questions? Paul?
Just I want to say that some of those warrants were signed in Hamptons last week, and I wanted to put in for travel there. Carol said that don't even try.
No, not getting by me.
Jill, I know you don't have a lot. Do you want to just say anything?
I mean, I can just say that this is day 4 for me, so I haven't really had much of an opportunity to really kind of sit down and figure out for opportunities. I will have something obviously at the next school. I'm happy to be back and I'm excited to kind of get things going and just feel like I, never left, I guess, so. I don't have anything.
All right, thanks. And then the last is just Mark added some updates as Director of Athletics. So the fall registration is open right now for our athletic teams. We had soccer camp, 100 kids, 25 volunteers, and we always have baseball and field hockey camps. Actually, I take that back. We always have field hockey camps. This year, we're happy to report that we have baseball back for the first time in a long time. Those will be held the week of August. When you come up, if you visit, you may say, I see baseball here all the time. They run a summer league that's different than our program, but they use the fields up here.
Okay, any questions of the superintendent? Thank you, clear and concise. Subcommittee reports. At this time, I don't believe we have any reports from any subcommittees at this moment. Also, we'll be posting the assignments that people signed up for. There's a couple of moves for chairman positions and some returns of folks. So that will be posted. And new members too. So Mr. Alfonso, and I know that we'll have a person hopefully from Hardwick soon. Please call or connect with, if you haven't already, with Jessica, and she'll share with you the subcommittees that are available. And would love for you to participate in whatever is your comfortable factor, your comfortable position for whatever positions, any committees you'd like to work with. Mr. Alfonso?
Appreciate that.
You got, okay. So we'll have that soon. And also, Dave Deschamps will stay as the warrant officer as well for the district as well. So. Unfinished business. Review of naming of facilities, rooms, and artifacts. Superintendent.
So in your packet, you have a table, and in that table are all of our school and our central office location. And we have identified within there anything on school grounds or within our school buildings that have been named. We also included different things that may have been donated in memory of folks. And then any artifacts or collections that we have. So central office is actually a good place for you to look. So, this is what we would consider an artifact over here. It's a scheduling, a sample of how they used to schedule here. And we have other, photos on the wall. And then in our schools, we have not many, but some things that are named after people. And so that is all identified on that list. We will use that information in 2 ways, certainly as we begin to bring it back to policy review and reform, and we're talking about naming of facilities, but also it serves as an inventory and for us to think about the things that we hold in our possession and what we sort of do with them kind of moving forward. So It's just a compilation of things. And I did offer to anyone who was interested to go to the schools and see exactly what's there. If you didn't take me up on that, but you are interested, I'm happy to do that with you.
Thank you for being on top of this, and we'll be viewing in the fall. Much appreciated that we have a kind of handle of what we have that's been named already out there on grounds. Public comment? Do we have anybody? School committee concerns? Seeing and hearing none. New business, superintendent evaluation process.
Okay, so I'm going to attempt to make this easy and clear for you. I know that I heard before that people have found it confusing and aren't always confident in how to do it. So I thought, if it's okay with you, that I would actually walk you through the process and my artifacts at the same time. What I do want to say is if you have any questions, of course, stop me and ask. So the first thing I really want you to take a look at is a one-pager, and it's the ratings. So this document is a compilation of DESI language that the Boston Public Schools put together. So it clearly outlines what the criteria is for each of the ratings. So there's a 4-point scale. The sort of highest level is exemplary. In this case, we're calling it highly effective. And there's a description of what exemplary or highly effective is. And I want to just point something out because I think this is really important. So at the end of it, it says this rating is achievable by any employee, though given infrequently. So it really is sort of this outstanding performance. So I like to be clear about that. The other thing is category 3 around being effective or proficient has some meat within it. So it's this idea of performing consistently, exceeding expectations in the areas of responsibility. Overall quality of work is excellent. Goals are met. But there's also this idea within this category, there's this developing, where performance is consistently met the expectation in all the essential areas, at times possibly exceeding, and the quality of work overall was good. Most critical goals were met. Then the needs improvement or the minimally effective is around performance didn't consistently meet those expectations, failed to meet the expectations in one or more of the essential areas, which are the standards we're going to talk about. And most of the critical goals were not met. This would require, and I would recommend, if I receive an overall rating of needs improvement, that we would have a professional development plan to improve my performance. So that's part of that rating. And then unsatisfactory and ineffective is consistently below expectations, not reaching the goal. And it would require a full plan. So any questions on the ratings? Because I think that can be a confusing sort of point. Where do I put my rating?
Any questions on that?
Question, if that's all right.
Yep.
Do we have KPIs or development goals that were given before at the beginning of the year, or again, whenever the rating period started? Other developmental goals or performance goals, and then KPIs to measure against them?
So you will hear that I set goals at the beginning, but if you're asking if goals were given to me by the school committee, that's not the case this year. Does that make sense, Joe?
It does, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Joe, just to kind of tell you, last year, it was an interim appointment, Lieutenant Muha. So we are, and she wanted a feedback way of coming in as an interim. And so it wasn't until the spring that we as a committee felt strong enough to move to the position of appointment for a 3-year position going July 1st forward. But I know this would be kind of difficult for you to see the rating piece because you weren't involved as such. But your question is right on point. And Superintendent Muha will continue to explain this process. So if you do have some potential knowledge, you could participate. I'm not saying you cannot, but for you to be able to understand the beginning, the middle, and the end of where we're at with superintendent's goals, the adjustments, and the development, and the meeting expectations and doing other things. So I hope that's giving you some further information, and any questions are absolutely asked when and where you need it.
I'm going to ask Jess to share a slide deck with you. The slide deck is really to support our viewers at home. There are some differences between artifacts in the slide deck and artifacts you have here. So I'm just going to talk through those the best that I can. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. The next thing I want you to take out is your exit ticket. So it looks like this. And this is where you actually will fill out your evaluation for me. So Mr. Nutter, you have that. I sent it to you. And the first thing is the overall rating. We're going to come back to that and do it at the end. But you have to put your name on this document. That's a requirement.
It's a requirement.
So that should be the first thing you do. And then we'll start with question 3.
I should send this to Mr. Alfonso. Do you have it?
Sure. I can,
I'll go scan it and do it.
oh, I have it right here. I can
Okay.
send it to you in 2 seconds. I'm wondering if everybody has a pen.
Anyone need a pen?
I do. I can get it.
Okay.
Meeting. I think he's gonna have attention. Yeah. We don't have that.
Alfonso, they're scanning it to send to you as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
If you check your school committee email, you should find it. If it doesn't come up, just let us know.
Thank you very
So, as you know, my goals align with the district goals, and all of the work that we do align with the 4 standards of practice. So, when you evaluate me, you're going to evaluate me both on the goals and on my performance on the standards. But so much of the work overlaps that what I tried to do was pair it together for you a little bit so I could show you in the artifacts how it sort of goes together, if that makes sense. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a communication goal. This goal was a personal goal for me, and it was also aligned with our strategic and our district goals, right? It's sort of one and the same. And so we really work to increase people's overall satisfaction with the district, to feel comfortable, confident sending their kids here for teacher, staff, and students. So this is really, really aligned with standard 3. So you have 4 packets here, and they're numbered: standard 1,
Yep.
standard 2,
2.
standard 3, and standard 4. So if you pull your standard 3 to the top, this focuses on communication. If you have the slide deck, you can click into those blue links if you're at home, and you can see some of the evidence. But as you know, I've been doing Barry Gazette articles, district newsletters. So if you're looking at packet for standard 3, you will see these communication pieces here. And the other thing that I added was just some photos. I know you don't want to look through a million things, but one area of priority for me is just really increasing visibility and being at lots of events and things so that I can connect with parents, students, staff. And so these photos just show some of our end of the year activities. And on the slide deck, I've also outlined all of the other things that we have done. So we've, had some meetings to support the budget process. We most recently met with the town of Hardwick. We have end of the year events that parents come to, our wax museums, our step up celebrations, different things like that. We had a wonderful event with our CPAC celebration, and I hope that none of this is a surprise to you because we talk about it each month during school committee. So if I'm very redundant, let me know. So if you feel like you understand the evidence for this goal, and we'll get to standard 3 and we'll use the same packet, you can just sort of give me a little bit of a thumbs up. And if you have any questions, I'll give you a pause to take a look through it.
Mr. Alfonso, do you want me to scan those now and email them over, or is it okay to email them in the morning?
In the morning is fine. Thank you.
Okay, they'll come from Carrie Metcalf. She'll email them over to you.
Thank you.
Probably my only question is, there's something subconscious going on because standard 3 is numerical and all the others are Roman numeral.
That's my bad.
Yes.
The exit ticket, is this like a worksheet for us?
Oh, yes. So that exit ticket is your evaluation. So you can bubble in your rating.
Oh, so we're not really going.
Nope. So we thought it might be helpful for you to do it on paper and turn it in tonight. So that's what we decided, Jess gave me that feedback. So any of you who are in person can do it on paper. And if you're at home, you can send it in, or you're welcome to come here and we'll give you a sort of paper printout.
I think Dave was concerned that I might copy his on paper.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to do it, you know,
It needs to be separated.
on his computer, yeah.
So do you feel, are you ready for me to go on to the next slide?
Colleen, I
Yeah.
have one question, because you had noted in your goals to have a 70% of stakeholders reported increased sense of satisfaction. Like, do you happen to have?
Well, so this is interesting. So that survey will go out at the start of the school year. We used it to do our strategic planning, so I actually won't have those numbers and results until then, but I will share them with you. So, yeah, so I'm not sure I won't have that evidence till then. That was sort of poor planning to use that particular survey, but anyways, yeah.
Any questions on the first standard? Outline of 3.
These are just more, this shows the connection to the standard, so we can go to the next one. So my second goal was around having a cadre of Quabbin educators in a cohort to deepen their instructional leadership knowledge to strengthen our pipeline. So I can tell you that fully have reached this goal. We have 8 teachers, and I've provided you with evidence of the work that you're doing. This goal is also aligned to our strategic plan around differentiated learning opportunities, and it's fully aligned with standard 1, standard 2, and standard 4. But I'd like you to take your standard 1 packet out first. So the top piece of evidence is actually what we call a logic model. So I've been working with these 8 teachers since the beginning of the year. We meet monthly, sometimes bi-monthly. We've engaged in different book studies. And then we came to a place where we said, what is a project that you're passionate about that falls within your current area of work that will give you opportunities for administration and leadership? So the example that I'm going to share with you so you can see how deep the work is, this is a problem of practice that one of the, I call them Quabbin future leaders, identified. And that was that she was seeing that a lot of our students were spending a significant amount of time on screens. And she went to the research, and the research said kids really shouldn't be spending more than an hour and a half total on screens each day, and knowing what they go home to and so on and so forth. She also felt like because they were using the technology didn't necessarily mean they were using it in a way that was enhancing or accelerating their learning. And so this is what she identified as her problem of practice. And then this logic model takes them through the steps. And this one's not complete. This is her very first draft. But it takes them through the steps of saying, why is this happening? And how could I possibly solve it, right? So she's saying that she thinks, some of the root causes were that now we have one-to-one devices for students, right? They're in the classrooms with them. Teachers feel we should use them. Teachers may be feeling overwhelmed with all the components of instruction, and putting them online is a solution sometimes when you're working with small groups and wanting to get to other students. And it sort of assists with classroom management. So these are the kinds of projects that this team has taken on. I put some of the examples up on the screen. So what this is leading to, this particular project, is this teacher, future leader talking about what's a different way that we can do math-focused intervention that isn't just putting students on the computer. What would that look like in a classroom? We also have someone focusing on chronic absenteeism. As you know, that's been a challenge for us. Support for students at risk of failing. We have a lot of new curriculum. So one of our future leaders is really thinking about how do we get teachers to do more cross-curriculum teaching so that we're maximizing our learning time and making those real world connections in content areas. And the decreased screen time is the one I shared with you. So that is one of my goals. And again, it's aligned with our strategic goal, our district goal, and the standards 1, 2, and 4. So I'll let you process that for a second. Do you have any questions about that? Mark?
Yeah, just, what is cell phones factor in?
Well, in my goals, so we're going to continue conversations around cell phones. We have in our handbook, I don't know if you were with us last month when they talked about that. Yeah. So we can ask Principal DeMarias when we're through this process, if you want an update on that.
You had said those update by the end of South.
Yes, yes, they will be updating on that for us before school starts.
And we'll be
Yes.
looking at the handbooks
Yes,
in
you will.
August.
We talk about screen.
Yep, yep.
Also, that screen and this.
Right. So Jess, I'm going to ask you to go to the next slide. So I'm going to talk about standard 1 a little bit more deeply. So if you flip to the next page, standard 1 is really about creating a shared vision of what high quality teaching and learning looks like for us as a district, us as a school. And so one of the things that we do is we do walkthroughs with our administrators. We do these 4 times a year, and we like to use a rubric. And with the new implementation of our literacy curriculum, we designed a rubric that was aligned both with the literacy curriculum and what it would look like in the classroom. So that walkthrough tool is what I'm showing to you. So administrators go into classrooms, we look and we say, what are students doing in the classroom? What are teachers doing in the classroom? And we calibrate as administrators around that. So when we're giving teacher feedback, when we're having conversations about literacy instruction, we're unified in what we're looking for in our classrooms. The next pieces of evidence are data, which will speak to standard 1, and they'll also speak to other standards, but I'm super excited to share with you the first piece of data. So we have really been concerned with our failure rate at the middle high school. And so it's a little tricky in 9 to 12 because they had trimesters with more course offerings. However, 7 and 8 have sort of stayed the same. So you can see from 21 to now the end of 24, how we have reduced our failure rate, especially at the middle school. So we believe by sort of working with that, we think it's a lot of factors, to be honest with you, but you've heard us talk about the new change in schedule for our high school students where they have the same teacher for a full year. We think that's been a factor. We also have changed some of our grading practices where at the end of a quarter, students receive a 50 instead of a 0 because we've done a lot of research out there about the impact of having a 0 and trying to bring that grade back up. You'll also hear a little bit more about that from our middle high school team before the start of the school year. I guess that's all I have to say about it. So, sorry, I'm very,
It's really.
very pleased with that. Yeah. Next,
Very impressive.
the reports that you're gonna see next are literacy. So as you know, we implemented a new literacy curriculum. And these are just samples. I tried to give you a sample of each grade level, but the first one that you're gonna see is district-wide. It is not one school, it's district-wide. Kindergarten, it's what we call nonsense word fluency. And you'll see at the start of last year that 32% of our students were proficient. By the end of kindergarten, 86% of our students were proficient. You'll see on the next page that it is a sample of third grade. And this is a words read correctly. You'll see at the beginning of this year, 46.5% of our students were proficient. By the end of the year, 54.5. I encourage you to remember, we can grow in these areas. I want to be very clear about that. But also it's much more difficult to see the same amount of growth as you get higher in the grade levels. The last one that you have, I'm sorry, not the last one, the last elementary one you have is for 5th grade, and it's a comprehension assessment. So at the beginning of the year, they were at 50, sorry, I did this one wrong. 52% proficient, and they ended at the end of the year at 68.5. And this is, I shouldn't use the word proficient because what this is it's just sort of a dipstick. And they say kids are on track to be successful readers, right? So they're showing us the signs that they can comprehend, so on and so forth. The last graph you have is also same assessment, so I thought it'd be interesting. We just added this assessment to our middle school. Last year was 6th grade, and this year we expanded it to 7th and 8th grade. And this is a composite score, so it's all of their scores factored in. But you'll see, we've been really trying to do more with interventions and co-teaching, so on and so forth. Our results in 6th grade are promising in that we started at 49% sort of on track and above, and we went to 56%. There's more work for us to do in 7th grade because we started with, where are we? Sorry. About 60% on track, and then it's down to 49%, right? 50, yeah. And 8th grade, again, about 54%, and then we are holding at 59%. So there's more work to be done with middle school, but we did have some targeted co-teaching classrooms up there that we believe helped move this along a little bit. But this will continue to be a goal area for us for next year as we implement co-teaching and inclusion. And we're certainly happy to have Jill at the table with us for all of those conversations. Any questions on the goal? And really that kind of covers standard 1. I also, included in the slide deck, because I just think there's so many ways that you can share what the vision is for the school. And I just wanted to call out, when I do articles, I really try to focus on learning and what's happening in school and not just sort of, different things. I'm trying to showcase to the community the kinds of things that are happening in our classrooms so that we can all sort of have a common vision of what we expect our students to be doing throughout the day. Yep.
Any questions on that outline?
This has been the biggest goal for me this year, and that is really just sort of learning what it means to be a superintendent and getting better at things. So in your standard 4 packet, I said to Jess, I don't know what I should have at my fingertips, but I only have one sort of certificate from all the things that I've done. So I'm gonna have to see what, what that's all about. But I share each time we meet all the different things. So I receive coaching, we're part of an equity network. I was actually chosen as a DESE equity leader at the state level. So I attended a conference back in April that was really inspiring. And most of the evidence is sort of up there for you to see. But something else that I think about with standard 4 is sort of that reflective component, right? So this is aligned with our strategic objective around equity and diversity. And you'll see that the sessions that I'm attending, what we're focusing on in our professional development is very aligned with the DEI work. So we've added things into our meetings, such as an equity pause. So partway through a meeting, we'll stop and we will say, are any of the decisions we making, impacting any of our groups of students, staff, differently, with special attention to our less represented population. So that's something that we do. The other thing that's important to me, and you hear me talk about it all the time, is this idea of feedback. So what you'll also see in the packet for standard 4, because standard 4 really talks about a school culture of reflective practice, continuous learning, and high expectations. You'll see that I love surveys, and my administrators will probably chuckle on that. So I've given you a couple examples of exit ticket surveys. One I gave out just yesterday, sort of helped me understand, my impact as a leader. What are 3 things you'd sort of say I expect for you? What are my expectations? If they cannot hand me back 3 things that I think are my expectations for them, that's feedback for me. I know I haven't been clear. I haven't been consistent. And just, how can I help you moving forward? So that's the first little survey you see. And the second one was staff feedback. So when we were going through the budget process this year, and we were really thinking about how we could become more efficient and remain effective, I reached out to the staff. They have a very different lens than we do, right? They're in those classrooms every day. And I just said to them, what should we be thinking about? Do you have an idea? I think that teachers feel sometimes like they might have an idea, but no one actually wants to hear it. And sometimes those ideas are really smart and helpful and important. So those are just some of the samples, but that really is aligned with standard 4 as well.
Then again, on your exit ticket superintendent evaluation, it's number 11, which then allows for us to be able to make any feedback comments that we want to give to the superintendent. So
I think,
again, standard 4 is the evidence she showed us what she did and what has gone on in the district. It allows us to also as well.
yep. So next, we're going to talk about standard 2. So standard 2 is really the operations and management sort of part of the job. So I included in your evidence packet some of the things that we've implemented. So, we've talked about some new operating procedures. We have used a practice called after action review several times this year. So sometimes things come up, and this can be, we did it for our bus incident in Hubbardston. We had an incident where a student needed to go in the ambulance, and we did an after action review for that event. So I provide a sample to you in here of an after action review. But it helps us get better, because when we do those after action reviews, we also immediately say, what are the procedures we need to put in place so that should an event like this happen again, we have better, stronger systems in place. So you'll see sort of a key takeaways. Sometimes it's next steps, different things like that. Also in your packet, we've we've had a lot of bus sort of incidents this year. And so one of them, there's just a letter in there. So I try to really, it's not just communication for me. So after we have an incident like that, I communicate not only with families, staff, but I also reach out to the bus companies and I say, what can we do better? Different things like that. So that's just a sample of some of those things. The other things that fall under these categories, of course, are safe, supportive learning environments. We've been talking about our safety meetings we have with our local PD and fire. It's also budgeting, staffing, schedules, all of those things under standard 2.
Any questions on that?
Yeah,
Outline.
question on that. For the after action reports, can you comment on, for the findings that come out of those reports, how are those tracked and driven to completion?
So usually in the moment, we actually create systems and structures, right? So if communication is one thing that may have come out of different things, we also, with some of the bus situations, we change our protocols, our processes, and our procedures. And so depending who's involved in that, it might be everything from creating a new accountability system for students. That's one of the things that came out of the bus incident, different things like that. So we try to immediately put those things into place and we review them as we've had another situation or something comes up. So I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Good, thank you. Appreciate it.
So I think I've gone through all the evidence, but as you're filling this out, if you want me to speak to anything else or you have questions, please feel free to ask.
Are there any further questions? On, again, a couple of things I want to comment. Absolutely, Superintendent Muha was stepping up and taking the interim perspective, for the superintendent position. For Superintendent Muha to say, for my first year, please support me as best as you can as a team. We truly believe in a co-governance model. She asked for the professional learning because of the first time coming into a superintendency role as such. Her strength, aside from other leadership positions, as principal leadership, she was also strong in curriculum development and curriculum understanding and language development. So I commend the Superintendent Muha for putting a package like this together to walk us kind of through it. And we have 11 questions to answer and to do. And if we feel comfortable enough here, as we work, we can work it through here. And if you need to take it home, that is fine as well. But we need to, give it to, we'll give this evaluation feedback, which then obviously becomes public record as well. And for us to collate and put it together for our next meeting, because we have timelines too to meet in regards to DOE, that's our obligation. So I really want to say this, even as I thank everybody at this table and online for putting the faith and the belief in Superintendent Muha for leadership. 2, as she continues to develop, and working through and getting a budget through, along with 5 towns, I think was absolutely commendable and absolutely wonderful. And all the work going to those meetings. And third, for her perspective to say to the school committee, please give me feedback. Please evaluate me. And I know I'll go into a different well. And it's kind of highlighting Mr. Nutter that when you see the superintendent evaluation in another form, it's very encompassing. We can still take the standards, do the 4 and make it reasonable. And this we thought was a find of a way to kick off this perspective. Am I correct?
Absolutely. I think the form was, the worst part of it was trying to keep everything in the right space as you tried to type and fill it in. But I think it's so helpful to have this evidence. We've never had that before in the past. So that's really helpful, especially for a lot of our new members coming in. They can see the work you've done throughout the year during this process. And it's not easy to take feedback and, the superintendent is looking for that so she can grow and learn as well. And that in itself is commendable because it's hard to take criticism, sometimes the good and the bad, either way. So, that's really shows her dedication to the position and the growth and leadership. So I appreciate this very much.
And again, even when we've had our Superintendent Marshall, we had Sheila, we did evaluate, we've been doing that for years, we've been doing it. But we've done it in a very large encompassing way, but if we can continue to develop. And I just want to commend, I know I'm being repetitive, I apologize to my colleagues, but I commend Superintendent Uha to say, let me do this, please do it, would you let me do it this way? And I went, absolutely, it made total sense. So that's our job on this perspective, and then in the fall, we'll do she'll be an appointed superintendent, and we'll do the same thing of looking at goals and monitoring it. And we can even change the way we look at it if it's on what cycle it is and how it works. We can do even that. Again, I'll lean towards the superintendent and, folks on this committee to help. So those are my comments that I wanted to make. Any other school committee member want to make a comment, if needed? So then our obligation is to then complete this evaluation and give it to Ms. Bennett either this evening, tomorrow, early next week, if you're needing more time to do that. No judgment or pressure on our part or my part in any way. And Superintendent, any other comment that you want to make at this?
No, but there is, if you don't have enough room for any comment, if you need additional paper, we'll give you that. But the other thing is, I will also have an entry plan for coming into the next school year. And so your feedback will actually also really help me develop that entry plan as well as my goals. So I encourage you to be honest. It's the only way.
I just want to comment. Number of years that I've been engaged with superintendent evaluations. This is probably the clearest that the process has ever been. And it speaks to the comments that I made, is transparency that has been apparent throughout last year. It's been noted by parents, by administrators, by folks in town. Colleen is a very transparent person. And to walk us through here and be willing to take any comments we have, I think speaks to that.
Right.
Thank you.
And as she said, put it part of her entry plan for next year to go forward, to continue to move the district in the right direction. That's what we're gonna do. So let me just go to, 1 second, I put it right here. Okay, so school committee concern, we took new business, we went through. Are there any questions and anybody else? Mr. Alfonso, Mr. Nutter, just making sure I don't miss anybody.
No questions.
Good, okay.
Huge shout out to all of our administrators, there online, spending their summer evening with us. Thank you, guys.
And then we'll report out next month, for the full superintendent evaluation as well, so. And on that note, there is no request for executive session. Before I have asked for a motion to adjourn, one just item, just to say, was, I should have had it under school committee concerns. Just in, several school committee members in the year go to the joint conference in the fall. The Mass School Committee and Association of School Superintendents, and it's in November 6, 7, and 8. It's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So I just wanted to tell you, if you are interested, please give Jess an email and a holler. The obligation is in essence 3 days. Not sure if your schedules allow it, but we do have several people that do attend and like to attend. So the early bird, and it costs the district money to do. And we do, as school committee members, report out what we learn, listen, and grow with. So if you are interested, and we'll see how many spaces we have, would like to, it's 6, 7, and 8 in November. 3-day commitment, and anything else that I miss on that?
I need to know by Monday
By Monday.
There's
to
usually,
get the early bird
Get
anyway.
the early bird registration, yes,
There's
which saves
top-
$175.
there's topics, everything from sort of equity to transportation. Last year, we had a really great session on artificial intelligence. So the topics are really, rural schools is always a
Rural
topic,
schools.
funding. So last year is the first year I went. I thought it was really helpful.
I'd like it.
So,
I was the same. I went, last year was my first year as well, and we attended, how many talks between that?
There's a lot, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But the collaboration with other school committee members from other communities, the whole event was really, it was long, like, it was long days, and the speakers were phenomenal. It really was a great learning experience. So I would encourage anyone, if you are able to.
and I like the legal piece, the special education pieces, so there's a lot to walk out with.
We should all receive it in the mail, so you may have already seen
Should
it
have
come
known.
through the mail, and they gave.
So I just wanted to give you that note, to get hold of Jess if that, we'll see what we can do for numbers as well. Is there a motion
Yes,
to adjourn?
Second.
Second, and all in favor, and done, adjourned.